On June 19, 1838, the Maryland province of the Society of Jesus agreed to sell 272 slaves to two Louisiana planters, Henry Johnson and Jesse Beatty, for $115,000. This sale was the culmination of a contentious and long-running debate among the Maryland Jesuits over whether to keep, sell, or manumit their slaves and whether to focus on their rural estates or on their growing urban missions, including their schools. In 1836, the Jesuit Superior General, Jan Ruthin, authorized the provincial superior to carry out the sale on three conditions: the slaves must be permitted to practice their Catholic faith, their families must not be separated, and the proceeds of the sale must be used only to support Jesuits in training. It soon became clear that Ruthin's conditions had not been fully met. The Jesuits ultimately received payment many years late and never received the full $115,000. Only 206 of the 272 slaves were actually delivered because the Jesuits permitted the elderly and those with spouses living nearby and not owned by Jesuits to remain in Maryland. The sale prompted immediate outcry from fellow Jesuits. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe if you would like to view more of our videos. Have a nice day.
The Revelation 13 earth beast describes the rise of the Jesuits of Rome to power. Rising up out of the earth indicates that it would not rise out of a large group of people. Rather, the Jesuits of Rome were created by one man, Ignatius Loyola. They were empowered in the 16th century to counter the Reformation. The Jesuits were kicked out of many countries, including Catholic ones, because of their evil, subversive ways. The King of France persuaded the Pope of Rome to remove the Jesuits' power. The Black Pope, the Jesuit general, has controlled the Vatican since 1798 after the Napoleonic Wars. The two horns seen represent the Black Pope and the White Pope, who work together to control the world. The Jesuit general controls the White Pope and is using the authority of the popes of the Vatican to draw the world under their power. Jesuit priests have spread around the world teaching a false salvation message so that many Christians revere the Pope and obey his commands.
Jews participated in proportionate numbers in both slave trading and in slave owning, especially in some of the Caribbean islands. In fact, if you go to Suriname, they have a beautiful synagogue there that's been preserved with a sand floor and beautiful declarations. You'll also notice a lot of the street names are named after Jewish families that were prominent plantation owners there, but they owned slaves. And if you know anything about the slavery experience in the sugar plantations in Suriname and in Curacao, it was the most brutal, awful slavery you could imagine. Amputating limbs, working the slaves to death, not even bothering to feed them or care for them in any way because they were cheap to just import more. I mean, it really was some of the worst experiences of slavery to be found, and Jews were a part of that society and a part of that experience, both in the Caribbean and also in the American South.
Georgetown University, a prominent Jesuit institution in the United States, has historical connection to the slave trade. In 1838, facing financial difficulties, the university sold 272 enslaved individuals to plantations in the South. The sale was conducted under leadership of Jesuit priests who were responsible for the university at that time. This event in history is sad for two reasons. One, men of God's church carried such horrible sins for monetary gain. Second, this is not an exception. Buying and selling slaves was done by many churches during 18th and 19th centuries. Very few churches even opposed the terrible system. I wish after all these years, the churches would come forward and apologize for their involvement in slavery and advocate for paying reparations to the descendants of the victims.
The Catholic Church's role in slavery. This is burden of history, did you know? The Catholic Church didn't just witness slavery, it endorsed it, profited from it, and helped justify it, all while keeping a straight face and a halo. In 1452, Pope Nicholas V issued a papal bull called Dum Diversas, authorizing Christian rulers to invade, capture, and enslave non-Christians. Yes, literally a holy permission slip for colonization. Then in 1493, the church issued another bull, Inter Caetera, helping Spain claim lands in the Americas. And by claim, we mean take by force in God's name, of course. This gave birth to the doctrine of discovery, a set of rules that said, if we found your land and you weren't Christian, it's ours now. Imagine someone stealing your house and telling you it was a blessing. Catholic clergy didn't just preach. They blessed slave ships, ran missions on plantations, and some even owned enslaved people themselves. Body of Christ and also bodies in chains. The irony was loud, but nobody flinched. The Jesuits, yes, the scholars, owned hundreds of enslaved Africans in colonies like Brazil and Haiti. Even Georgetown University owes its existence to the sale of enslaved people. So next time someone brags about their alma mater, ask if their tuition was paid in souls. For centuries, slave owners got forgiveness from the church. But the enslaved, they got silence. And even now, with all the records, the receipts, the ruins, the Vatican still hasn't formally apologized. But they'll light a candle for peace, though. They act innocent, like they were just in the choir the whole time. But history knows better. If this story moved you, like, share, and subscribe. The truth deserves to be heard. This is Burden of History.
He said an independent project in 2015 at Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. to locate the descendants of 272 enslaved people by Jesuit leaders in the mid-1800s to raise money for the university. Locate the descendants of 272 enslaved people sold by Jesuit leaders in the mid-1800s. So even the Jesuits also were involved in chattel slavery. Whoo, boy, this is deep. This is deep. It says Cellini said he was driven by a sense of moral outrage upon learning about the sale, as well as the curiosity to see what he could find. Along with 10 other researchers, they would eventually locate more than 10,000 direct descendants.
September 9, Feast of Saint Peter Claver, slave of the slaves. Among the chains you walked in love, where pain and sorrow dwell. You spoke of Christ, the truest Lord, who breaks the tyrant's spell. You bent to wash the wounds of slaves and called them each by their names. 300,000 hearts reborn, baptized in heaven's flames. Teach us, Saint Peter, to give our hands before our lips can even speak, that love may shine where hope is gone, and Christ uplift the weak.